because then the deviations will not become extreme.
This is why we're
becomes
the
the deviations of that exact line of height. They worsen if the object goes further away.
Why?
Let me jump in just real quick.
Because of the field of vision effect, and because these things will get a lot smaller, and eventually the field of vision will narrow down, subjecting the entire thing to the miraging zone.
All right, Milo.
Right.
So if we're looking at the turbines that you're suggesting right now, and you want to raise yourself up to the hubs, and we have, let's say, 2 miles. Let's say we have a 2-mile stretch, and we're looking from point A to point B. Let's say there's 7 of them, so A to G. We have to take into account that supposedly the Verrazano Bridge from New jersey to New York, between its 2 towers, which are 1,300 meters, which is roughly 3,200 feet, there is 1 5/8 inch difference between the towers at the top, so that they are arcing away according to the records for the bridge. So what you're suggesting in this instance, for looking down the line of the hubs, there's going to be, you can at least mathematically figure out what the difference is going to be as you move 3,200 feet twice. Okay. Right. Okay. So at least mathematically you have it there. Now, again, that's what Ranty is now challenging you, is now, okay, now, since you've got this, this depiction in your mind of what you're presenting to us, now go out and do it. You know, go out.
I don't have any of this equipment.
Well, that's
the thing, is that this, I'm not saying anything that goes contrary to perspective. That's my point. If this is a flat Earth with perspective,
except for the fact that I think
it should work.
Yeah.
It should all line up. There's
no
way around it.
The objects you're trying to align yourself with the observer height, the more heavy the deviations will become if you are just slightly off. In relation to things that are much closer by, then it's much easier to line up the exact height.
Armin, we're not talking about things that are miles and miles away. We're not talking about things that are hundreds of miles away, 50 miles away. I'm talking about things within 13 miles or 12 miles.
Yeah, that's a lot of distance.
I'm not talking infinite miles.
No, I'm not talking about infinite miles either. I'm talking about, if you were to either really close by, as in 1 or 2 meters, then it's very easy to line that exact height up without causing a lot of deviations within that line, within the field of view. But if it becomes much greater, then you will be
so this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
You will be subjected to the narrowing down of the field of view.
If you were to raise your eye level to that of the hub, and you were to look parallel to the ground, your line of sight should go through every single hub.
Yeah,
correct.
If they're all relatively close by, yes, but if they will eventually be very far away, as in tens of miles, then just the slightest of deviation will become very big.
No, but it wouldn't cause a dramatic drop.
Yeah, it will. Yeah,
well,
it will.
Okay, hold on.
And also the other way around, because if your observer height is then just slightly off upwards, then it will actually go the other way.
Milo, you have to give us the parameters to consider the suggestion you're making, because what Arwen is pointing out is it depends on the distance, let's say 10 miles, and then it also depends on the distance between the towers that you're looking at. Okay, so again, you're still describing, I made this point earlier, but it was denied. You're still describing an orthographic view. You're saying, listen to me, don't say no.
You can't continue if you're wrong off the bat.
He's not wrong. He's absolutely correct. You're describing an orthographic view, and you're trying to make the entire view equal, which is what orthographic does. It excludes perspective and draws a single line. So all of your perspective lines are converging at a single point, and they're all equal, even though the bottom half of our frame is often 100 feet and the top half of the frame could be 2,000 feet. In other words, you don't have equal lines all converging in the middle. You're trying to force it like, you're trying to make it seem like we've got a single line between target and observer, and we haven't. We've got viewing angles.
We're focusing on the hubs. That's all we're focusing on.
We're not. We've got the entire turbine in the
me.
picture, you absolute retard. I know you want us to force us into looking at just the hubs. We're not, though, are we? We're looking at a whole turbine. The whole thing.
Nathan,
and
you
the
obviously
horizon,
don't
and
understand
things around it.
So
we are not just looking at 90 degrees to just the hubs. We see more than the hubs. That's why we have to account for viewing angles. Something your calculator ignores, Milo.
Milo. Okay, let me try it again, just from a different. Okay, so let's say we have 2 towers.
Mm-hmm.
The second tower is 10 miles away.
Right.
If you go up to the hub of the first tower and go at a 90-degree angle, it's not going to line up with the second one 10 miles away. It's
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by Milo, The Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, Ranty Flat Earth, Mark Doxy, Jose, Chocolate Sane, Arev, and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Hello, gentlemen.
Growl, growl, growl. Okay, I want to try
So who was I just talking to? Who was I just talking to?
Travis, The Plain Truth. Okay.
Yeah, Travis,
right.
can I? Are you okay with thought experiments? Because
let me
take you through one right now.
Let me make my first thought of experiment since we are off air. Okay, so I'm going to restate what I said before. If we have 2 wind turbines that are 10 miles apart, and you go up and you do your
and they're
drone,
the same height, right?
Okay, they're the same height. And you go up to your drone and you go on the hub, and they're 10 miles apart, and you get 90-degree angle on that hub, and you look straight out at your viewer height. The second wind turbine is not going to be parallel with your vision. It's not.
If the Earth is flat, it should be.
No.
Okay. Now,
again,
let me make this point that I
said this on the end of the last show. In order to achieve what he wants, you've got to angle the camera down to bring it in line with perspective. He's ignored that and just said no. That was his rebuttal.
I know, but let me just make this point again because I thought it was simple and profound. Okay, the fact that you're making that point shows that you don't understand what we're saying. You don't have a clue.
Well, can I take you through my thought experiment?
I don't know why you have to change the metaphor.
Because you don't understand perspective at all. So let me take you through it. So you have a stack of bricks, 6 feet high.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you also have a plank, an infinitely long plank.
Yeah.
All right. 50 miles away is another stack of bricks. How tall does that stack of bricks have to be for the plank?
I had this conversation with
on top of them. How tall does that have to be for it to be a perfectly level plank?
Mark Doxy and I had a conversation with Ruhip. I think it was Ruhip yesterday after the show, and it was the same point. It's the same point. You're asking.
So reiterate what I just said. Just so I know you understand.
Depends on the observer height, Milo.
No.
Okay,
No. We're not listening to Milo. The observer height absolutely must be completely in line and perfectly level transit, something you never, ever assert occurs on the sphere model. So why these globe heads are now telling us we must have an absolutely level transit and only look at the thing that we are directly in line with perfectly is because it forces this perfect equilibrium of perspective to the midpoint, essentially drawing a single line between target and observer, which is something I keep pointing out to Milo. But he wants to force us now to have a level transit. If he can show me, I tell you what, I'll entertain this, Milo. If you can make the curve calculator give you a level transit and make the camera be perfectly 90 degrees, show me it doing that, and then I'll carry on entertaining this conversation.
What does it have to do with what I'm talking about?
I'll tell you. Your sphere Earth forces you to look down. If you ever plug anything into the curve calculators and you want to assume you're on a bloody sphere, then it forces you to angle the camera down. So there is never, ever, ever an instance where you globeheads think you have a level transit, which is what you are demanding we do. You're saying we must account for this at 90 degrees. Well, no, we won't. Sod you, we don't have to do anything. We can point our camera wherever we like. We don't have to have it 90 degrees to the target. We can do it wherever we like. We can point it up, we can point it down. Ranty's recently been angling his camera up from the beach to see things surprisingly above him across the way on a flat plane, and he can still see them. So we're not going to be forced to have a 90 degrees completely level transit by you because you say it.
You think we're on a flat Earth?
Milo.
Milo, hold on.
Being on a flat Earth has sod all to do with having a level transit. Level transit is required if you are building something. It is not required when we take a photo of something. Anthony and Ranty do not level their transits when they take these pictures. They just take them and point the camera at whatever they can see. You're now insisting that we have a level transit, and there is never a level transit on a sphere. You're always looking down. So unfortunately for you, this point about making us 90 degrees is garbage, because you globeheads will never apply that either. It's just a red herring.
Okay,
Travis.
let
me
jump into the proposition, Milo, please.
Hold on.
Hold on, Arwen. Please
hold on. Original. I haven't even gone through my original.
Let me go back, Milo. Let me go back to you. Just
can I
Milo,
talk though first?
No.
Can I make a point first and then you make a point?
No, I want to go back to your bricks. Okay. You're asking basically is what I can hear you saying, even though you're bringing in a plank that extends that distance. You're asking me if I have a stack of bricks at 6 feet at my feet, and then 10 miles away there's another stack of bricks at 6 feet. How tall is that?
No, that's not what I'm asking.
Okay, but you're saying though that if I had a plank that extended from one point to the other, it would be parallel and level. Yes.
Yes, it wouldn't be angled down.
That's correct.
Not the bloody plank. In order to bring it back in line with perspective, you'd have to angle the camera down. We're not suggesting the plank would be angled down in your stupid example.
The plank is your line of sight.
The plank is just a plank. We don't have a single line of sight. This is what I'm talking about now. Instead of it being a line between target and observer, it's a bloody plank. It doesn't make any difference how you phrase this, Milo. We don't have a single line between target and observer. We have viewing angles.
Yes, exactly. And they bend, they converge.
They don't
converge. In that same setup that you proposed, I'd like to propose another setup, and that is get to a warehouse, then suspend on the ceiling with ropes or strings or whatever you want. Suspend, let's just say balls in this case, because you love them so much, and suspend them all at exactly the same height. Then take a camera, put it directly below so you could still see underneath the balls into the distance. Guess what's going to happen? They're not going to drop. No, they're actually going to slope upwards because of the viewing angle. Does that mean that the Earth is concave?
No, what I'm saying is actually take the camera and bring them to the same level as the first ball, so that all the
sorry, I've already said this to you, Milo. Go and show me on your idea of the world you think you live on because you are deluded and trust R. Show me where that camera has a level transit. Show it me.
Which camera?
The camera that you use to calculate and compare a perspective omitting proof of nothing Earth model to an actual photograph. Show me in one of those where you have a level transit at 90 degrees to anything ever. Show it me.
It's impossible.
Milo, you also have...
You just ruined it. He just said it. He just said it's impossible on a globe Earth to point your camera. It's impossible, apparently, to have a level transit on a sphere Earth. So this is a pointless exercise, isn't it, Milo? You think this is impossible. So why are you making us do it?
Because it should be possible on a flat Earth.
It is! We see into the distance. Yeah? If we can see parallel to things, we do see 20 miles, 30 miles into the distance. So what are you talking about? We do see things as though there's a single line. We still observe a viewing angle, though.
So
we don't have one line between us and our observation. We have several lines to everything in the observable field. Not one line. Okay?
Right.
Could you present me?
What I'm talking about.
You are, Auntie.
Oh, I am being presented, right? Okay, brilliant. Because I've just been working through these turbines that I filmed a couple of days ago. So I've put the lines essentially right through the very, very centre of the hubs. And fortunately, we've got this little knuckle that's on the bottom of the turbine here. And I've put the line through that too. But what I did is I opened it up in a new paint. And I run those lines through against the horizon. And look what happens. So we've got obviously they're getting smaller due to the distance. If I put a line in here and show you what I mean by that, if I put a little measuring tool there, so essentially that's the height between the two lines on this one, and I move it across to the last one, you can see there's a big discrepancy because it's getting smaller in the distance, it's getting further away. So we know that these are getting smaller, and look what happens. I run the line through here. If I run the line through, they disappear from the bottom up. What do you know? The bottoms go below the horizon first, and then the tops, and that's all due to perspective.
Okay, Ranty. What I'm saying is, if you were to raise your camera height, wouldn't that line become straight at some point?
Stop saying it. Stop circle jerking this panel around, Milo. I've told you, you don't point your camera 90 degrees to anything in your world of sphericity. And we do see things much further away because the world is flat. So until you can show me an example where you, in your world, have a 90-degree level transit, I'm not interested in this example anymore because we don't have it in the pictures. So go out with your drone, get a 90-degree level transit with a drone, and then show it us. Till then, I couldn't give a crap about your theoretical exercise with a drone getting 90-degree single lines, which we don't get. We get viewing angles, not one line. So shut up about your 90-degree level transit.
It's not theoretical.
It is. You haven't got any drone footage, so shut up.
Right.
Milo, if you do that, the 6-foot brick extension with the plank between them, and you take your eye down to being flush with that plank, and you look down, you're going to have optical distortion. You won't be able to maintain a straight line of viewing because of the limits of your eye. Am I right? Where did everybody go?
Well, I was muted. I was muted, so.
No, but do you understand what I said though?
You're saying that you'd be looking down at some point? Is that what you're saying?
No. What I'm saying is, again,
Nathan is wrong.
Okay. If you take your eye and put it flush with the plank, and you're trying to look down the plank,
yeah,
there is a limit to which your eye can resolve what it sees.
I agree with that. I'm not saying that you can see indefinitely. You can't see forever. I'm saying that you'd be looking down a straight line of sight. You would not be looking up or down. You'd be looking parallel to the floor.
Wowee. So Milo's point is if you level your camera, you're looking level. What a wonderful point.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that.
Thanks, Milo. That was really well done, mate. Tap yourself on the back. You've made a really cracking point. Now I'll make a point. You never have a level transit on a globe.
Exactly.
Not exactly. You can have a level transit. You just level your camera. It's very easy to achieve level transit. But you never have one on a globe. Isn't that slightly suspicious?
Why would it be suspicious?
Because you can have a level transit. You can level your camera. I've just explained this. Open your ears, you deaf idiot.
Yeah, but things still go...
Yeah, not yeah, but... You can't have a level transit according to your mathematics, yet you can in the real world level your camera. That's suspicious.
So let me ask you again.
Don't ask me. I'm asserting something. You can't have a level camera in your globe model. It's not allowed. Yeah, you can level your camera in reality. You just go out and get a level. Yeah, you can have a perfectly level transit when you build things, and they do it all the time. But in your model, you never have a level transit. You're not allowed. It's not permitted.
Right. Okay. So.
Not right. Okay. I can level my camera, but your globe model says no. You are pointing it down, and I go no, I'm not. I'm level. I've leveled my camera. No, it is pointing down. You're not allowed to have a level camera. That's what the globe model says.
It's funny that you don't understand, because you just contradicted everything you said in the beginning. So.
No, I didn't. I'll say it again. In reality, I can level my camera. I can have a 90 degrees level transit to your plank of wood and look all the way across it because the earth is flat. And we do it all the time. We look across flat bodies of water and see things in the distance. Because yes, if you're 90 degrees to something, you can see it because the earth is flat. However, you seem to think that it's acceptable to completely ignore the virtue of viewing angles to things that we actually see. That's what you think is acceptable, Milo.
If your line of sight was at the same height as the hubs...
It isn't. You haven't got a level line of sight with the hubs. Stop this if we had this nonsense. Go out and get it and show it. Prove it. Show it. Till then, I don't give a crap about this theoretical exercise, Milo. I'm sick of hearing it.
Okay. Hey, Chocolate saying. Chocolate.
Yo.
Chocolate, can you hear me? Can you
sir.
hear me, Chocolate? Yeah, what's the difference between a 12-foot level plank and a 12-foot plank that curves 8 inches per mile squared? What's the difference?
The hell is that supposed to mean?
You tell me. Are they both flat or not?
This is nonsense.
The curving, you'd see it curving away.
So he can't make his crappy example
Are you trying to imply
with his
that
90-degree level transit that we never allowed on the globe. So now he's asking us complete nonsense questions. Is this a tactic? Tell me why it's acceptable in your model to never have a level transit, Milo.
Because the Earth curves away from you.
Right.
But what if I level my camera?
I'm not saying you can't level your camera on Earth, stupid. That's
No, your calculator says I can't level my camera, even if I have.
Of course you can.
Yeah, your calculator always has the camera pointing down. No matter what you do, you can never look straight. Even if I level my camera, even if I level my camera in reality, the calculator still says I'm pointing it down.
Also, it would be descending away from your level, your eye level. So if you can establish an eye level that's straight out, then you shouldn't be seeing any curve or anything curving away from you downward. So,
Milo, do you think curved is level?
Milo, I suggest you do
it depends on the model that you're talking about. On a globe, curve and level are different. On a flat plane, level.
I'm asking Milo. I'm asking Milo. I'm sorry, Orif.
Sorry.
Yep.
You think if you had a piece of wood that was level and another piece of wood that had a curve of 8 inches per mile squared, you'd be able to tell the difference? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Chocolate?
If one was curved 8 inches per mile squared and you had miles and miles of it, yes, you'd see it curving. You want to assert that you wouldn't be able to see any difference. We would. One would just fall away with perspective. One would fall away with perspective and also be a curved piece of wood, so it would disappear quicker.
Right. No.
Yeah, right. The problem is that we only see one of these things in the real world. We see things 20 miles away on a nice clear day, and they're just smaller with distance. That would be perspective. We know perspective is a thing, and that's what we see in all the photographs. A very long distance with things smaller in the distance, occasionally obscured by things that are small and in the foreground. Something which your calculator ignores, simultaneously forcing you to point your camera down, even if you've leveled your camera, because it's a bullshit world that forces its parameters onto the user. That's all it is. It's a perspective omitting, proof of nothing, begging the question, curve calculator.
And also, we've already.
Can I please, Milo? If you believe that you do a lineup of certain objects and you're gonna look over them, and you believe that you're then looking over a curve, because they appear to converge into the distance, then try the reverse. The experiment setup that I suggested, and that is suspend objects on the exact same height, take your camera, point it exactly level, parallel, and then move it slightly downwards. You'll see the exact opposite. You'll see them apparently curve upwards because it is perspective, because the view is narrowing down to the convergence point. And then you'll see it's not curving over, it's curving underneath. It's the exact opposite because it is not curvature. It is perspective. It is the field of view narrowing down. So I suggest you do that experiment. It's not too hard.
Milo, don't go any further than this. Milo, stop. You have to either understand. No, you have to either understand what Arwen is saying and acknowledge or deny it. So, do you acknowledge or deny?
He's not acknowledging what I'm saying.
Well, we are acknowledging it, but the thing is, you're saying contradictory things because the rules of convergence period were based off of straight line light that propagates in straight lines. Therefore, there's straight line light. That means that there's light that can hit your eye straight on at more or less a perfect angle that is straight, that you can judge things that are deviating from straight off of. That's the rule right there. If you can't acknowledge that rule, then you can't make any rules for convergence or anything. So if anything is curving away from us 8 inches per mile squared, we should be able to see it with the straight line light that is hitting our eye. Either we can or we cannot.
That's why things go below the horizon, dude.
No.
Right.
They converge into the distance and then get obstructed by the things that are closer by. That is what the horizon
that doesn't even make sense either.
No, that's because you don't understand
makes perfect sense. You just don't understand, Milo. You should listen to Arwen a bit more. Try and listen to what Arwen's saying and understand it, Milo. I think you just don't understand. It's okay. Slow.
But can you share my screen, Nathan? I just want to show him how this actually works in the real world, because I'm sure he doesn't get out of his house to see this kind of stuff.
You're on.
Right, so this is from 0. I'm in a ditch. I've dug it on the beach, and I'm looking straight at the buildings of Barrow across this 18 mile of distance. And what will happen is the tide comes in, because I'm only a couple of feet away from it. Just watch what happens now. Look at that. What's happening now? What's this that's coming in my way?
Why do you think that I disagree with this? Why do you think this is a straw man?
Things in the foreground. You just said things in the foreground won't block out things in the background.
No, if they're parallel with your line of sight, they can never block your line of sight. You understand that?
Yeah, so in a model where there's no atmosphere.
Hold on, Ranty. Hold on, Milo and Ranty. Hold on. So, Ranty, so you've got a complete level line of sight. Can you show him where the buildings are? Just pause it on. There you go.
Right here.
You see those white buildings?
There.
So we've got a completely level line of sight. Now I'm going to ask you something, Milo. Considering he's in a ditch and he's angling his camera up, right? Or 90 degrees, definitely not down. Where's the bulge between him and those buildings?
Can I address what Ranty was telling me, though?
Well, no. I think that's a very valid question. How come I'm pointing my camera up to get the shot?
I don't know what you're doing with this camera. I'm just taking your word for it. So.
He's in a ditch, so you can play it through if you want. He can play you and show you exactly how he gets this shot. He will show you in the video.
These waves would not obstruct your view if you were parallel to them.
Right, firstly, why am I looking
They
up?
would if the angular light rays obstruct. Maybe there's some sort of obstruction going on with the light rays themselves converging.
Get out of here, man.
Maybe it's an optical illusion, and the light rays converging are providing some sort of obstruction in themselves. From the rules of convergence, that would be implied, wouldn't it?
Yeah, maybe.
And so I'm looking up, right? And why do you think that we won't have atmosphere that gets in the way? Do you think we live in a 3D world where everything's like mapped out? You can do it with straight lines. There's no atmosphere in the world. We're not going to get any blockage.
Well, not a 3D art world.
Ranty, this is my point. If your line of sight was parallel to these waves, they would never ever obstruct your view, ever.
The way
convergence says otherwise, even with stuff that's at the same height, they tend to converge, so that would imply some sort of obstruction from the light rays themselves, even possibly.
Arev, hold on.
Guys don't understand
hold on,
perspective.
Milo, you can only be parallel with one section of this wave. You can only draw one line to one part of it, but you see a top and a bottom of the wave, and that requires two lines to get an angle.
What do you think I mean when I say parallel to these waves? What do you think I mean?
So if you were just looking across the top of it, but you've also got the bottom of it to take into account, you just don't see the tips of the wave. You see a field of view, and you have viewing angles to everything in this frame. So the viewing angle of the duck in the foreground, or the whatever it is, seagull in the foreground, that's got a very wide viewing angle, even though it's very small. Yeah? It's simple stuff that is totally ignored when you draw a single line, and that's what you're asking us to do. If you were looking 90 degrees, something you never do on the globe because it's not allowed, yeah? Well, who cares? This straw man ends here. I'm tired of it, Milo.
Randy, did you understand what I was saying?
But you're drawing two parallel lines that aren't converging. You're being contradictory.
Exactly.
They have to converge to an eye line.
Exactly.
Wherever the eye line is, that's where they're going to converge. You're not factoring convergence. You're just saying that there's going to be two parallel lines. They'll never intersect. That's a contradiction.
Exactly. Together we will deny perspective as one line between observation and target.
We have a
demonstration. If your line of sight is parallel...
You don't have a parallel line of sight. You have viewing angles. One more time and I will eject you, Milo. You don't have a single parallel line of sight. You have viewing angles. Stop saying it.
What do you even mean by that?
I mean, you have viewing angles. I'm making myself clear and plain English. It's simple. You don't have a parallel single line of sight. You have viewing angles and a field of view. Stop saying if you draw one line. That's what you need for your orthographic calculation. That's not how we view the world, so stop asserting it.
All right,
so
real quick.
Milo,
hold on again. Ranty, do you understand what Nathan just said about the viewing angle?
Yes.
Okay, Arwen, do you understand what Nathan just said about the viewing angle?
None of you guys know.
Chocolate, do you understand what Nathan just said about the viewing angle?
Everybody does. It's only
okay.
You
Everybody does, but you, Milo. Everybody does, but you.
You guys are a bunch of idiots. So what does that mean?
Oh, it's reduce it to ad hom. What a loser. Time for Milo to go. That's the sign he's lost. Goodbye, Milo.
Can I just say that was the most boring repetition.
An optics F.
That was the most boring repetition of the same point over and over again I have ever seen. Milo,
you know why?
Wake up, man.
You know why, though? They need this. They need one line between target and observation. They need it. It's got to be one line.
Can I have a minute?
It's the only way to exclude perspective. They've got to have a single line, because then they can maintain actual sizes.
Can I have a minute? I'm going to turn my camera on. I got my Photoshop ready to go. And by that I mean my hand drawings.
All
right,
you're on.
So okay, we got the side view. We get a 6-foot person, 10-foot poles. This is close distance. Let's say this is a, I don't know, 50-foot distance. 50-foot distance.
Nigger.
A job someday? I mean, this is going to come back to bite him in the butt. Just don't do
Okay,
this.
so let me continue. I got the orthographic view.
Hold on one second.
And then
Jose.
if we look...
Hold on. Hi, Sean. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. No problem.
Can you hear us?
Okay.
Hello, mate.
Yeah, great. Thanks for being here. Do you want to start again, Jose? Because it was ruined by PMRs.
No problem. This is an orthographic view, a short distance, looking at 4 10-foot poles. A 6-foot person, right? We got the angle view, we look at the top, we look at the bottom. If we are looking at eye level, close to the middle of the poles, we're gonna look up, we're gonna look down. They're gonna converge in the horizon. This is looking slightly in the side, so we can see the sizes of the poles. Now, if we're looking just straight ahead, we're gonna see just one pole.
Another duplicate window open. Could you close that other window?
Me? Oh. All right, so let's look at another angle. If we are in the floor, just looking eye level, we're going to be looking up. Close distance, and this is the representation we're going to see. We're going to see the horizon. We're going to be looking up to the first object, and then they're going to converge down, right? And if we're looking just straight forward, this is what we're going to see, because we're not going to see the ones behind. Now, if we raise that guy 10 foot parallel to the other poles, he's going to be looking straight ahead. Okay, he's going to see the top of all of them, but remember, this is close distance.
Hi, Watson.
And
Can you
this
hear
is...
us? Hold on a second. Hi, Weston. Oh,
Yep.
That's definitely a troll.
Yeah.
Sorry, you carry on.
And this is what he's going to see. Looking, this is the orthographic view, and this is the perspective view, right? But he's going to look straight ahead. He's going to see just one, because the other ones are going to be behind it.
Right. So
now, this is where the trick goes.
Can I just,
if you're looking at
sorry, Jose, sorry. I will leave you on screen, but just go back to that point that you just had up a second ago. So this is
got it.
This is Milo's point. So the one where they're all level with the tops of them.
No.
There we go. So when you're completely 90 degrees to the top of them, then sorry, can you lower it a little bit, just a little tiny bit? So yes, what he's saying is if you were completely 90 degrees, can you just lower the page a little bit?
Oh, okay.
Just lower, lower. I can't see the top of it.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Got it.
So when you're completely level with this one section, you are looking at the top of all of it. So the one single line that's lined up with the horizon in this picture, I'll just draw it for the audience. This line, that's Milo's point. He's saying if you're level to this, it will all be in a straight line. But as fortunate as we are, we've also got Jose drawing the bottom virtue of perspective going, because we don't just have the top line, a single line between observation, which would be over here, and the targets. We don't. We have a viewing angle to the top and the bottom of them, but they need one line. So they're finding the only instance in perspective view where you have this effect of everything lining up. Even though you never ever do that on the sphere model, you can't. You have to angle your camera down. Sorry, Jose, you carry on.
Yeah, that's excellent,
no problem.
Jose. Thanks.
This is actually close range, but if we're looking at a long range, this 6-foot person, he's looking a few miles away to the same observation. This is what he's going to see. So it's going to get confusing, you know? And then if you're looking slightly underneath, you're looking slightly above, this is what's going to happen when you zoom in, right? There's the confusion, where the confusion comes. Yes, so you don't know what's going on.
That's awesome. That's what I was also saying.
They don't call it the Circle of Confusion for nothing. That's why they give it that title. It is the Circle of Confusion.
All right, awesome. I'm done here.
Cool. Well, thank you very much, Jose. That was excellent.
Can I just say as well that a lot of people seem to think that this phrase, Circle of Confusion, is one of those ones that we made up, like Dirty Air. It is actually a thing. You can look it up. It is a name for that area of obscurity that really nobody knows really what's going on. It is actually a phrase.
Indeedy.
And also, we've showed plenty of images that prove this real phenomenon. And it's something that I'm going to repeat again, that you just can't model by saying if you draw a straight line from A to Z, because in the way you have atmosphere, and the atmosphere distorts what you're going to see. It gives you fake horizons, and it gives you distortion, it gives you compression, it gives you all kinds of stuff.
And if anybody out there is in touch with Slice Barcane, can someone let him know that he has a concession to make, a really big one? He needs to accept that the Earth is not a sphere. He's got a video that's just going up now. It's just about to go live. So just point his nose in the direction of the video. Moron. Oh, on my channel, that is, by the way.
Give it a good plug. Go on. Sleeping Warrior channel. I'll put a link to that video in the description.
Yay. Just about to go live. It's like 99% processed.
Can you verbalize that, Arwin? I know you've just put it in the chat and it is on screen, but can you just say it?
Yeah, okay, yeah. Well, Jose, he basically, with his drawings, he drew out exactly what I was trying to say. This is perfect. That's exactly like when the eye height is exactly the same as the objects that are lined up at the exact same height. At that point, they will be the exact same height. But eventually, if they are far away enough, then they will become subjected to the effects that happen beyond the convergence point. When the field of view can no longer narrow down, and they will be subjected to miraging and that kind of stuff. Yeah, causing it to not line up properly. And yeah, his drawings were a perfect demonstration of that. So yeah, well done.
I just did that on the fly as you guys were continuing with the show, so not too bad for a couple minutes work.
Yeah, it's so simple that you can do it right now in a couple of minutes, and yet these ballers have been banging this drum for the past 3 or 4 years, and they still don't get it.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, you cannot model anything or with drawings at all, but it can be explained with drawings because I'm trying to explain your observations and etc. etc. You know.
Hey, Ruhif.
I'd still love somebody to demonstrate the ball hangings from a ceiling experiment, to show them how they would be subjected to the same kind of effect, but in reverse. And it would then appear to be curving over the ceiling instead of over the horizon. Because that is really what happens.
Can I just
Your
direct?
observer height is directly underneath that line of objects. It will appear to curve the other way.
Could I just direct Channel Q in chat? She's put a comment up saying, guys, Eric Dubay, your FE guru, has not been keeping up to date with the Flat Earth debate because he's just released a video denying the Southern Star rotation. Is he lying or just stupid? It was addressed at the start of the first show today, and my position is he hasn't presented any evidence to show that the stars do not have a rotation point in the south, and there does appear to be evidence that supports the idea that it does. And it confuses me, I'll be honest.
Hello?
Hello?
Chris? Which Chris is this? Chris Berry.
Hello. And for the sake of repeating what I said at the start of the first show, which is basically the only evidence we have of this rotation in the southern stars is from the ballers. So unless we've actually...
Oh, have we got a sniper in? Is that new guest sniping
Is
everybody?
that you?
Lost Ranty. Maybe it's just a network error for Ranty. Everyone else still here?
Yep.
Maybe he'll come back. Everyone drops in about 30 seconds. There'll be a short intermission. Yeah, but there we go. Everyone drops. Welcome to the show. It has been a while since I've had the show sniped. At least 3 or 4 days. So your patience is greatly appreciated. This is usually the point where I can just about concentrate on these things on their own, but I'll get a Skype call from someone and that'll throw me off completely. Hopefully not. Hopefully everyone's patient enough. I will get the link out on Skype in about 30 seconds time. Click, click. Nearly there. So the link has now gone out on Skype.
Hello.
Hello.
We're back.
Feeling good.
Yeah, I was just saying in chat that we only seem to get sniped when we absolutely smash it.
That's all good by me. What was that?
Yeah, that was Chris. I was gonna snipe him as soon as I noticed that he was sniping people, but he got to me first.
Who was sniping people?
That was Chris, the new guy.
So we know his name, Chris Berry.
Yep, and we know his face.
Came in with his camera on just to snipe people.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
The second he came in, he started sniping everyone.
Thanks, Chris. And he was like shrugging his shoulders, going, I know what's going on. Snipe, snipe, snipe.
It's all right, because you won't get another chance.
Fun. Hey, Sleepy Warrior.
I don't think it was Chris. I think it was the Ruhif account that came in that we assumed it was Ruhif, and it wasn't actually Ruhif. It was a sock account, and then likely. Chris joined accidentally or unfortunately with his camera on to show that he's not a troll, and it was actually the Ruhif account that did it.
Right.
Chris also be.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense because he didn't actually speak, did he? The Ruhif.
No. Whereas Chris did, and he had his camera on.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I was going to say it seems
like Chris another chance.
People don't tend to join with a camera on and then snipe. That seems unlikely. I mean, I'm sure it has happened, but it's a great cover if he did do that.
Well, they sometimes fake having their camera on, like the P. Mars animation and everything. So they do that sometimes. But yeah, this is somebody I've never seen before.
Has everyone got the back door open?
Yeah, I got it.
So who sniped this out? Ruhif?
It was probably the fake Ruhif. In retrospect.
Publish the link now, Nathan, if you want. Would you like to rejoin Chris?
Are we back live?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty interesting and pretty telling when I asked Milo, or when I started asking the whole panel whether or not they understood the concept that Nathan clearly explained. And when I even was trying to describe and address Milo, and then he brought up his question, which is that basic question about perspective. When you have to ask that question, you don't get it. You just don't.
He literally said that he didn't get it.
And that's where you have to camp out. You can't go any farther. You can't talk about other things. You have to stay right there and say, we can't go anywhere until you understand what this even is.
To be honest, that was the most boring repetition of one point that I've ever heard. It was terrible.
It was
I don't know. I don't understand why you don't.
Isn't it always what they do?
Guys
I think they got 1 point and then they ramble on a half an hour about it.
But they've got to. It's a really important point for them. So they must find a route to have perspective applied, but still maintain that single line. So it's a really critical point for them.
Curve this level, according to Globers. So
I just like to say
that.
I just like to say that I do feel a little bit vindicated to apply the orthographic view to what he was saying. I know that he wasn't describing the orthographic view, but he was trying to impose it on perspective.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Yeah. I mean, it was so obvious.
The clever thing is,
it's a fake perspective. It is a perspective without the consequences of the field of vision.
Precisely. Exactly.
Direct line of sight type of perspective.
The intelligent point there is, was he doing that intentionally because that's where the perspective argument needs to go, and he was trying to steer it there, or was it because he was thick?
Well, it is to say he's thick about it. No, it's a mistake that's easy to make. But it is kind of, his approach was the mathematical perspective, basically. A real world perspective is subjected to all kinds of effects, optical effects and field of view effects. So it's just slightly different. And he didn't get that, obviously.
I will publish a link shortly. I know Sean in the... was Sean the guy that just joined?
No, it's Chris.
Oh, my bad. Chris. Well, yeah, there will be a link shortly. I will publish it shortly.
Chris Berry.
Yeah, feel free to rejoin.
Yeah, but Riley, I think it is a little bit of both, because, I mean, think about it. In essence, their whole goal is to come in here and make us look like we're wrong. You know, that's their point. So if they can try to get Nathan on some point, you see how they get really hype about that, right? Oh no, Nathan, you're wrong. I mean, that's what they're trying to do. You know, so he might not have understood what he was saying, but at the same time, I mean, that's the point, to come in and just throw some weird subject into the mix, and it's like, what the hell are you talking about, man?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, suddenly they want level transits because level transits are a necessity in a perspective view to maintain everything at an equal proportion. Well, that's how you get your single line of sight, but they can't do that in any other way than that descending drawing, because that's not how we view things. We've got a viewing angle to everything in the picture. There are simultaneous things that have got a different viewing angle, and they all interact with each other. It's very complicated, but it's totally ignored in the maths. That's the point. You know, whenever we show these turbines, we're showing them falling around the curve of the Earth according to the maths. But we also know that they are getting smaller with distance, and that is ignored by the maths. So you can't have both. And yesterday we had Ruhif on the panel saying, well, I can't tell what's curve and what's perspective. It's like, well, there is no perspective according to your maths, Ruhif. It's not needed. Yeah, it's only curve. And it works out if you mathematically formulate what we see in this picture using the fallacious proof of nothing, begging the question, perspective omitting curve calculator, we end up with a result that says it's curving. Well, that doesn't include perspective, and we know perspective's real, and the picture includes it. So he's got a bit of a problem. Two problems. One, perspective's real, and you can see things falling away and it's not factored in. Two, this stuff isn't curving, even though the math says it is. It says it's falling around a curve, and then you look at it side on, and it isn't. There's no curve there. It's built flat, like everything.
And that was his point of asking me that question about what would I know the difference between a straight plank and a plank that's bending at 8 inches per mile squared. Like, how are you trying to associate one or the other? One is flat, one is curved.
Well, no, he must, because what he needs is the only circumstance in a perspective view where you have this effect of everything lining up perfectly is if you're 90 degrees with a single line, and it's easy to model. You can do it in a computer simulation, but you very rarely have that instance where you're on top of something and perfectly, you know, instead of my on top of the telegraph poles example, when I describe that, I've got the camera sat on top of the poles, hence I say you must angle the camera down to bring it back in line with perspective. What he's describing is having another pole ever so slightly shorter, the exact height of the camera, in fact, shorter than the first pole, and then you line your camera up to the pole with you adjacent to it, and you end up seeing that all of those poles stay in a line. However, there's other things in the picture. You know, it's not just those, but they need a single line, because that's how the orthographic calculation works, with one line between the target and the observer. But that single line, eventually, they're going to have to curve that line, aren't they? Because it's bending stuff back from around the curve, and they've got 7/6R terrestrial refraction. So they've got to simultaneously work into this. They've got to factor in a way of having a perfectly level transit in a calculation that doesn't allow it, but simultaneously allowing it to bend at 8 inches per mile squared. They've got a monumental task. The bullshit they eventually come up with to overcome this problem of us flat earthers saying your calculations don't include perspective, and them having to admit it, the only way round it will end up being the most flimsy, pathetic, easy to pull apart band-aid you've ever seen. It will be pathetic because they've got a monumental task. They cannot include perspective because perspective is what they have hijacked. Those turbines prove it. You see them falling away with distance, and you can calculate out how much that would be affected if you only use perspective and then you only use the curve maths. They give the same result. One excludes perspective, and we definitely have perspective. So therefore, you're left with, well, we calculate it with perspective, and that's what we see. And it's a straight line. It's not curving. So all these things point in one direction. The Earth is obviously and observably flat. They've got to obfuscate it somehow. And the only way they're ever going to do it is with a single line between observation and target. Observer and target, my bad.
I agree.
When Ruhif came in and he said he can't tell the difference between perspective and the curvature, well, put it this way, the curvature on the picture from the turbines from behind, the curvature was like a minimal amount when the turbines are right close to you. But over like 11, 13 miles or whatever it was, the curvature is accumulated. But when the lampposts were shown from like a mile or so, the lampposts, the biggest influence or the biggest effect on that picture was perspective. There's virtually zero curvature there, but it's the biggest part of the picture is perspective. So he's like, I can't tell the difference between perspective and curvature. Well, there's basically no curvature in the lamppost picture, but there's a lot of perspective. And the other turbine's picture was basically exactly the same as it. So if you can't tell the difference, Ruhif, with one over the other, they can't be the same if there's an accumulated curve. To be honest, I'm getting a bit bored with the perspective argument now because it's clear that this is going to get obfuscated to death. And it's like, what do we do? Do we keep fighting it? Like, are they ever going to concede?
Yeah,
no.
Because we get. I don't mind that because we get moments. Thank you, the plain truth, where we're all making the same point. We're all on the same page, and he's trying to play Arwen off me, and triangulate us against him with his fake argument, which proves nothing and draws a single line between target and observation. That's all he's trying to do the whole time he's here. Yeah, but you get plain truth saying, "Do you understand it, Ranty? Yeah. Do you understand it, Arwen? Yeah. Do you understand it, Chocolate? Yeah." Well, the audience is going to be nodding along going, "I get this. We're not drawing one line. We've got a viewing angle, right? We're seeing top and bottom of stuff. We're not just drawing a line through only the turbines, looking through a straw like Charles would have us do." Yeah, well, they need us to look through a straw with a single line. They don't want viewing angles because then the bulge gets in the way. They don't want angular size reduction because then the bulge gets in the way. They don't want perspective because it is perspective. That's all Earth curve is. And we will fight this till we're blue in the face, and they'll just come up with a crap workaround if we labour the point enough. I know it's tedious, but this is the real battle. This is the winning argument as far as I'm concerned. Perspective is curvature.
It is. I agree. My screen, Nath. It's just I'm just gonna go through that point that Anthony just made there, which was very relevant, which is to do with the height of the lampposts.
Welcome back.
Please, sorry.
I said, "Hey, Chris, welcome back."
Right. Well, these lampposts are all the same height, but a mile down the road, which is this one near the truck, this one in the distance, that's a mile away. It should have dropped by the curve calcs by 8 inches. But
what's going on?
Look at the difference. Am I actually sharing, Nath? Hello?
Yes, sorry, I went on mute instead of off mute. Yes, you are.
Yeah, so this is Anthony's point exactly, is that this lamppost, which is essentially 40 or 45 feet tall, is the same height as this one, just by the truck in the distance here. And that one's a mile away. But look how small it looks comparatively to the one here. Now, if you was judging it just on actual sizes, the size of them complete, you would say that was only 13 or 14 feet high. But we know it's the same height, but it looks a third of the height. Perspective. It's not just dropped 8 inches. It's perspective.
Yeah, and the main picture, the main attribute of this picture is perspective because there's virtually zero curvature in it. Yeah?
Yeah. Over a mile, yeah.
In the other picture from behind the turbines, which is like 12, 13, whatever miles away it is, the major should be curvature, but it isn't. The main attribute in the picture is the same straight line that we see in the perspective, and the two cannot be the same.
Seriously.
It's so simple, yet so hard to grasp for some people.
I think they troll. I think they know. I don't think that's stupid.
Some of them, yeah. Some of them definitely know.
To be honest, guys, we've been dealing with this for a long time now and basically focusing on it, learning about it every single day. It's really not that easy. But you just need experience, you need examples, you need all of that to really figure it out.
Hey, Chris, do you want to come off mute and see if you're working?
He's
Can you hear me?
Here.
Yes, we hear you. Good to have you. New guest.
Sorry, I think I'm causing the echo. I'm sorry.
No, should be fine, unless you've got your watch page open.
What's that?
The video that you were watching before, you've probably got that playing into your headphones right now with an echo. So just mute the page.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Yeah. You all sorted?
Yeah, I'm good.
Brilliant.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Well, I'm more intrigued with you, my friend. How come you've joined? What can we do you for?
Oh, well, I just I started listening to your show, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago. Now I pretty much listen every day. I'm a flat earth convert from about a year ago and just been following it, ever since. I follow everyone. I follow I started out with Eric Dubay, of course, 200 proofs. Excuse me, Earth is not a ball, followed by Mark Sargent, followed by, everybody, D Marble, everyone who everyone says is a shill, I follow, and I get some good info from everybody. Of course, I forget the guy's name, flat Earth engineer, Brian Mullen. He was a big, part of it for me too. So my story is I came across it about a year ago, and I took like 3 months off because I just couldn't believe it. I told myself this can't be right. The indoctrination kicked in. Even though I knew this stuff was right at the time, I convinced myself that it wasn't. And about 3 months after I stopped, I saw it, found it, took 3 months off, and then came back to it. And I couldn't convince myself otherwise anymore. So I had to keep following down the flat Earth path, and it led me basically to where I am today, which is I believe the Earth is flat. I believe it's motionless. All the stuff that you guys talk about. So I'm just joining. Thought it was cool that you guys have this show, and so really I just been listening in. I love the recent discussions on the perspective. I've understood the perspective argument for a long time, but I've never thought about it the way you guys have been talking about it, in that they're applying a curve, but really that curve is the perspective. So as you look at something that's 30 miles or 50 miles away, it looks like it sort of looks like it's curved over, but all that is the perspective lowering it, or making it look like it's lower than it actually appears. Right. So if you're looking 30 miles away and you see a mountain or a hill, you have no idea how tall that mountain or hill is. It could be 10 feet, it could be 1,000 feet, right? Or depending on the distance, of course. So I think that is a pretty easily understandable argument that you guys have been making. And anyone who's claiming they don't understand that, or that it's still the curve, that makes no sense to me. And they're where I was 9 months ago. They're fooling themselves. The indoctrination is kicking in, and they're just not able to understand its perspective. The show from yesterday or 2 days ago with the light poles from a mile away, and then the turbines with, I think, 11 to 12 miles.
Too loud.
Yeah, Chris, welcome to the show. I kind of disagree with you when it concerns the other ballers, because they have been pretty much on this show every single day for 9 months. These people are just not open. They're not open to change. They haven't had the lying awake period. They just did not consider anything. They just they're here to fight it and to uphold their indoctrination. And I'm glad that you decided to basically try to break through it and get to the flat side. So welcome.
Thanks.
That's what I was
too loud.
That's what I was going to say as well. There's a difference between your attitude and your demeanor in terms of being open to change. Whereas you have people, for instance, like with Milo, I don't know that it's necessarily that he doesn't get it or that he's not interested. He in my opinion, people like that aren't interested in actually considering. They're just simply fighting. They're resisting the whole way.
They're scared.
I agree.
They're scared of the potential of a world that is lying to them, where they can't trust the authorities anymore. Because there is a lot of consequences to realizing the Earth is flat. The widespread deception, and how far does that go? And when you start to dig, you find that there's even more wrong with the world, basically. And it becomes not such a straightforward, easy to adapt to place anymore. And many people just can't handle that. Their social capabilities just doesn't allow them to go there.
So, Chris, what
don't
kind
have the
of
character? That's basically it.
What kind of personality would you say you are, Chris? Would you say that you're open-minded? Would you say you're a skeptic? I mean, would you say that you're inquisitive?
Who's that asking the question? Sorry.
This is Ranty.
Okay, Ranty. Thought it was you, but still learning all the voices. I have Nathan, I have Ranty, I have Arwen. Well, so yeah, I'm definitely inquisitive and open-minded. So it's funny because I'll hear, and by the way, I think someone said I was loud earlier. If I am, sorry, I don't know how to change the volume. I guess I'll try and talk lower. But
No,
yeah,
that was my fault. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm definitely inquisitive. So it's funny because I hear you guys talk about, someone will say, there's no flat earther who also doesn't believe in 9/11. That's me. I found out about 9/11 in 2006. I was in college. Again, yeah, and again, it was one of those things where you see it, and I still remember exactly. I read a story online. It said, 9/11 was an inside job done by the USA. And of course, at the time, I had not looked into any of I wasn't in any conspiracies at all. I was in college. I was enjoying my time there, drinking alcohol and girls, etc. And I was younger, of course, but I saw that and it made me mad. And I said, no, that is ridiculous. I'm going to disprove that. Watch the video and it'll be just so stupid. Mm-hmm. And of course, I watched it and I'm like blown away. I think it was like Plain Truth or, I don't even think it was Loose Change. I think this was before Loose Change. I think it was called In Plain Sight.
Loose Change already started in 2001. It's like one of the first movies that came out, and then there were it was remade many times and improved upon.
Right. So yeah, but so Loose Change may have been out, but I hadn't seen it yet, I guess is my point. Sorry. So I saw, I think it was called In Plain Sight. But either way, I saw that and I was blown away, followed up by Loose Change, blown away even more. And then from there, that really started my inquisitive, down the rabbit hole mode. So yeah, I sorry to answer your question. I'm talking a lot, I know.
No problem. No, that's fine.
To answer your question, yeah, I'm an inquisitive person. I have been since about 2006 when I came across Loose Change. I'm from Oklahoma. I live in Texas now. I'm from Oklahoma, and of course, we had the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995, which was a big thing for us at the time. And then it really hurt my feelings to find out that was also some sort of, again, don't know all the details, some sort of an inside job with the FBI, ATF. It was not 2 guys or 3 guys with a bomb in a, with a
probably an MK Ultra setup, right?
MK Ultra, yeah. McVeigh was a patsy. Nichols was a patsy. I mean, they killed McVeigh really soon afterwards. He got the electric chair really soon after. But I've read books on it. I've read documentaries. So yeah, so Oklahoma City, 9/11, moon landing, of course, right? If you're flat Earth, you don't believe in the moon. So.
Well, don't believe in the moon landing. I don't know about believe in the moon.
Don't believe in the moon landing. Yes. Right.
Yeah, sure.
Well, it's nice to get someone new on, and it's nice to get someone on that's actually, reasonable to talk to. And what I mean by that is that they're open-minded and they can look at something and understand it. It's not rocket science, but to just be so close-minded about everything. I don't know whether that's all people are the same, because I don't know how many ballers there are. I don't really talk to them in my life. I only talk to them online. But I don't know whether it's just a few people that are just so close-minded, or are there more people just like yourself and us that are open-minded and willing to look at the evidence and see that we have been lied to, we've been duped.
Yep. I think it's about personal journey. If you are just living by the system and believing everything you are told, you are taught, without looking at anything else, I mean, it's okay. You can just live like that. But once a subject like this show up on your feed and you ignore it, it's okay. But if you look at it and ignore it, if you don't know how to distinguish what you've been believing all your life without, I mean, that doesn't even with your observations. If you see something and doesn't go with what you've been taught, I mean, something's wrong with you. So it's about distinguishing belief and knowing, I think, is my point of view.
Well, if I can jump in, I have an example that when it's not always the case, because I got confronted with flat Earth many times before, way before, even very young in my youth. And I did kind of entertain it as a thought experiment very early on. But then when things became apparent, I started to take it more seriously, and I considered the consequences of it all and of how the world would be and how people in society were and the people in power. Then I just figured out that I couldn't handle it. So I forgot it. So it all depends on where you are as a person when you start to dig into this, because I dug into it a couple of times through various angles, and I was just not ready for it. So I just like forgot about it and just say like, no, I don't want to do this. I want to dream about space. I want to design space stations. I want to think about science fiction stuff. I'm just gonna forget this again. And that happened quite a few times in my youth, and it's only been recently when that I kind of felt like, wow, there's actually a movement now online. There are going to be people. I'm not going to be isolated anymore. I will be able to now talk about it and like really be able to hold on to it and not just be in this isolation where everybody's going to ridicule me for it. And that basically made me take that next step and just like, okay, I'm going to go there and I'm not going to come back. I'm going to go there. I'm going to really embrace it. I'm going to dive into it deep. I'm going to learn everything about it. And I'm going to find my new balance with that lore and not forget it again. That's how I did it. So it all depends on where you are as a person. When you get confronted, do you feel you can handle it? When you start to realize the implications of it? Or is it just too much and it's better to just forget it?
I agree 100%. It's where it's. Are you ready for it? Is the question.
Yeah.
You know, people aren't ready for. They're not ready for this. You know.
Yeah.
Nath, could you share my screen, please, Nath?
Yeah, sure.
I know we're getting towards the end, and I know we've got a new guy in the chat, and his name is Christoph. So I'm going to invite Christoph to look at this video, and also shamelessly plug it because I've just had a comment from Jory Daka, and he mirrors a lot of my better videos, and basically I just want to read his comment in the short term. He says, Anthony, this is brilliant, possibly your best yet. I hope you don't mind if I share and link your channel. And I agree with him, actually. Thinking about the context of all my work so far, I agree. This is my best work so far because it's the longest distance. It's the flattest that I've got it. The conditions were just clear enough to see it. We're looking 34 miles and we're seeing down as low as like 70, 60, 70, 80 feet. And it is my best work so far. And I've called it Flat Earth, if Ramsey, Earth, Flat. I've put Sly's name in it because I want him to see it. I want Sly to respond to it properly because he denies everything so far, evidentially, and I want Sly to respond. But I want people. It is my best work, actually, thinking about it. So everybody in chat, just do us a favor, just go over and give us a like on the video because it is my best work so far, and I want people to realize that it is my best. It ranks the highest in my strength, my strongest arguments to date. So go over and give us a good thumbs up because it is my best work. It's longest distance. It's the flattest that I've seen it. Shout out to the Earth being flat. If Ram's Earth flat, that simple. So Sly, if you're out there watching, please get in touch. We need to have a conversation. Don't care where. It can be on yours, Nathan's. Don't care. But you need to make an admission and a concession, dude.
So Chris,
yes.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask Chris. So. Yeah. Do you have your own channel? Is there any work that you've done on it of yourself, or are you just still investigating? Do you plan on doing anything in the future, or would you just be coming on the Hangouts in the future?
Talking to me?
Yeah.
No, I don't have my own channel. It's really hard to. I've been trying to join the last week or so, and it's hard to figure out when exactly you guys start and stop these. I know you do two 1-hour shows back to back. I'm actually only able to join today because it's the 4th of July here. So
Happy 4th of July.
You're a working man, very busy.
Yeah. So I work, Monday through Friday, and so I'm off today. It's a national holiday. I just got on YouTube this morning randomly, and I saw that you were live, so I joined. But so to answer your question, no channel. I don't have probably plans to really do much with it. I just talked to people about it. I've converted a couple of people. I've converted my wife. I've converted my brother-in-law.
Nice.
So little onesie twosie things I'm doing. Nothing major. I watch some of these videos and I'm really impressed. I don't know how people make these really awesome graphics and these videos and all the animations. I wouldn't be able to do that, but I'd be like more like a D Marble who probably just sit there and talk for 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah, he's actually doing stuff right now, D Marble.
Yeah, that's true. He did the sun, the 24-hour sun in the Arctic.
All you need is paper and pencil, man.
He's got himself a P9.
Can you guys see my screen? I did something that Nathan said was impossible. Can you guys see my screen?
Who's this?
Edgar.
This is Milo again.
Milo.
Yeah, and he's demonstrating the
Milo.
first drawing that Jose made.
No, hold on, Arwen. So the top of these cones all line up, right?
Yep.
What about the bottom?
You said it's impossible.
What about the bottom?
Was I talking about the bottom?
Sorry,
no, we're asking you.
We're having a viewing angle to each of these, and it appears like the bottom is raising up. What gives, Milo?
And where did I say it doesn't lift up? How did,
Milo,
did I say that
listen,
ever?
Milo, please.
I said this. I said the
Milo,
tops are going to be a straight line.
Milo,
Oh, really?
listen,
Well, that's the only part that is, though, isn't it? There's only one line that lines up in a straight line, Milo. The rest of it doesn't.
Right.
That's our
This
point.
is what I'm asking. This is what I'm asking. Should
You don't need to ask. We can tell you. We have viewing angles to things. And only in this perfect situation where you have a level transit, which you never have on a sphere, do you have this effect with only the tops of the cones.
This will only happen on a flat surface.
It does. So if you can see to the left of you, you've got a picture. See the picture I'm sharing, Milo? That's a picture of 20-mile observation with a boat between us where the bulge should be, and it's all on the exact same plane. So we do see this. We do see things lining up if we are 90 degrees to them, and they're all nice and visible. There's no earth curve in the way. There's no bulge in the way. There's nothing dropping away. There's nothing tilting away. It's just flat.
Yeah, Anthony.
Anthony, let's hear what do you got to say.
I didn't get involved in the last discussion at all because I wanted the conclusion to be that either Milo was right or Milo got it wrong and apologized or conceded or whatever. And it went on for ages. And to be honest, it was the most boring rendition of that point that I've ever heard. Nathan's point is that there is not just the one line. What you're showing on screen right now is the top line. Nathan's saying that there is also a bottom line. And what he's saying is by omitting that second line of reference, you are basically having one line of sight, and that one line of sight is forcing orthography. Do you understand the point that Nathan's making?
Nathan is arguing.
Thank you for visually doing my drawing.
Nathan
yes,
is
we
arguing
conceded
against
this,
the point
by
I'm
the way,
making,
Milo.
so
we conceded this,
man.
Milo. We conceded this. So while you were off because you kept saying it 400 times, Jose's just said to you he also drew it and drew the same thing. And I pointed out this single variant of multiple drawings where it matched what you were trying to detail. I also pointed out on his pictorial example that you have the line going up at the bottom. And what do you know, when you photograph it in the real world, in that single situation with one line only to the tops of things, you still have the bottom line to account for, and that's raising up towards the horizon.
So look, what I'm saying is that you'll never see a drop on the top line. That was my point.
Yeah, but we do see it raising up from the bottom, though, don't we, Milo? So you don't see a drop in this one, but you see it raising up. It's a bit like Arwen's example, where he says if you get underneath the balls, but you ignored him as well.
No, I didn't. I was addressing him. My point was that the line, this line, the tops of these will never drop if they're the same height.
Because that's not the.
But
that's
it's close by.
Let's have Jose interact with Milo. He's ready.
Yeah, go ahead, Jose. Puerto Rico!
Puerto Rico, there you go. That's the perspective. That's the perspective from far away. And you got the perspective with a zoom in. There you go.
Stop sharing. I'm looking at your screen.
Yeah, hang on.
Okay.
Jose, he's not looking at your screen yet. Wait.
I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at it now.
All right, so start again, Jose.
Hey, do you see now? You see the perspective from very, very far away? This is the perspective from very, very close away. Circle of confusion. That's all I gotta say. And thank you for right here.
So
thank you for doing with the camera what I just drew like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
thank
that's
you.
close by.
That's close away. Yeah.
Now the problem
this is close by, so it's still within the field of view.
Now the problem.
That's more far away right there.
When something is really far away, then it converges. And then it's beyond the field of view. It gets into the circle of confusion.
No, it's not a problem for us.
And other effects apply.
Your ignorance of perspective is definitely not a problem for us at all.
No, I'm not ignoring perspective. I'm saying, Jose, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
The tops of those poles that you drew, they'll never go below the line of sight.
What if you're below them or above them?
Depends how far they are, because then it's gonna be a circle of confusion that optical effects are gonna happen.
So okay, I'm saying that it'll dip down on the Earth, but on a flat Earth, it would not dip down. Correct?
It doesn't dip down.
Physically, nothing dips down. Nothing dips down physically, but optically they do.
It doesn't dip. It doesn't dip. It's perspective.
Optically. We're looking at perspective.
So you don't think perspective works on a flat Earth? Is that what you're saying, Milo?
Let's look at my real world experiment.
One at a time. One at a time. Sorry, Arwen, I didn't mean for it to be you that got the butt.
First of all,
just one at a time.
This is impossible. Nathan was telling me this is impossible. He told me to do it with dominoes. I did with these party hats.
No, I said you're misrepresenting my argument. I said it was impossible for you to go and do it with a drone. You can't get perfectly level to the turbines with a drone with a perfectly level transit. That's not possible. Absolutely impossible for you to do. I challenge you to go and do that with a drone. Now you're misrepresenting my argument.
No, you told me to do it with dominoes, and you told me I would get the same effect. So you're wrong.
I'm not wrong. 90 degrees adjacent to this, eventually, as Jose has just said, it will suffer an angular size reduction into the distance if you went on indefinitely. It wouldn't just stay parallel forever. You would eventually have it go to the vanishing. It would eventually
go to it would never go down.
It would go to the vanishing point, and then you would have the circle of confusion with things obscuring it.
It would stay on the same line. It would get.
Yeah, so what? So it's the same height as the observations we see at great distances.
It doesn't matter.
So you're saying that we can see the tops of stuff if we're level with it, and you completely level with lots of things that are all exactly the same height going 30 miles into the distance. Now show me an example of that, and I'll say, yeah, and we can see it going vastly into the distance because there's no drop, because there's no bulge, because the Earth is flat. So what's your point? That we can see a long way if we're 90 degrees to something? We can.
Are you saying that this is not an example of perspective?
So what?
No, it has nothing to do with it.
So what?
You're saying that eventually the cones would dip down, so they would be somewhere down here.
That's not what I said. I said eventually they will have an angular size reduction that puts them into the circle of confusion, meaning that they start to become obscured from bottom up when they reach vast distances. However, if you are above or below it, as you are in the case of the bottoms of the cones, and everything except for one line, then you have a viewing angle to it.
So right, the one line will stay the same, right? The only thing that's going up is the bottoms, correct?
Yeah, we all understand that. Your single line that you've managed to manipulate and get one parallel line, something you never have on a sphere, yeah, one line is parallel. Thank you, Milo. What about the rest of the lines? The viewing angle to the rest of this stuff in this picture, is that all parallel as well?
Besides the point.
So that's besides the point. So perspective denying globehead says the rest of the lines don't matter. No, they do matter, Milo. That's called a view.
We're only looking at the tops.
No, it's not an argument. It's called a viewing angle, Milo. It's called a viewing angle.
We're only looking at the tops, Nathan.
No, we're not. Can you not see it? I see the tops and I see the bottoms. You complete idiot. Don't tell me what I see. I see all of it. I don't just see the tops. We don't just have a single line between us and the tops of these cones. I see all of the cones. Do you hear me?
All right. So will it?
Do you hear me? I see all of the cones. Do you hear me?
Would the tops eventually go down?
Do you hear me, deaf idiot? We see all of the cones.
Would the tops eventually
Answer
drop?
me. Do you hear me, dickhead? We don't just see the tops of them, do we?
That's besides the point.
Milo.
It's not besides the point. I see all of the cones, not just the top of the cones.
What'd you say, Arwen?
I'm not called Darwin. I am directly addressing you, Milo. Shit for brains. We don't just see the tops of them. We have a viewing angle to all of them. It's not besides the point. It is the point.
Puerto Rico!
Yeah. Is that your response, is it? Yeah, dumbass?
You're strawmanning me. So
I'm not strawmanning you. We don't just see the tops. When I say we have a viewing angle, you say that's besides the point. Because you're a moron.
When did I say that you only see the tops?
Milo, you're being literally very short-sighted because you don't understand what happens when you get very far away. You're literally being short-sighted because you don't understand the effects of perspective and the narrowing down of the viewing, the field of view of things. You don't understand it. You're not getting it.
Here we have.
I encourage
just distracting us with
Milo. I encourage you to do it. I'm gonna try to do it on a very long straight, maybe a street or something. Put either dominoes or your hats. Put it more separate, but do it from far away. You know, put them far away, and then zoom in with the camera. Try to line them up in the top or the bottom, but do it in a hot street, and then zoom in to see if some kind of effect happened in the, you know, us going far away. Something is gonna give.
Milo is
okay. Something is gonna give. The far away you go, optical illusions are gonna happen.
So Milo, you didn't answer my question. So the line to the top of these cones is parallel. We all agree. What about the other lines in this picture? Are they parallel too?
Nathan, when have I ever said they are? Oh my God.
I'm asking, are these... Arwin, hold on.
No, they're not parallel.
Right, so we have a angle.
They obviously don't line up.
Right, so we can't just take one line
then.
They
get smaller from the bottom. Yeah,
right,
but they get smaller
so
from
we
the bottom
don't
up,
just
right?
have one line with it all parallel then. We have more than one line.
Right, so why aren't you addressing my argument? That's not my argument.
What is your argument, Milo? You tell me again.
My argument is that the tops will never dip below this line that I've created here.
What about the bottoms? Nope. Do they have a parallel line also or not?
Oh my God.
Not oh my God. This is my point, Milo. You're being owned, my friend. You don't just take one line. You take two lines to get a viewing angle. Something you want to ignore in the proof of nothing, begging the question, perspective omitting curve calculations. Now you want to tell me the tops will never change. That's fascinating, and it's the same reason why we get to see a very long way on the beautiful flat plane we live on, Milo. However, when you say it's not the point that there's other angles besides the single 90-degree angle you've got, apparently that's besides the point. Right, Milo?
Would the tops
okay,
ever
let me
dip?
jump in real quick. If someone can go into this,
that's the question.
If someone can go into the Skype chat, I put a picture in there where I took a screenshot of Milo's hat, and I then zoomed in to bring the proximate hat to the top of the frame, and the proximate hat and the distant hat are not on the same line. The proximate hat is higher, the distant hat is lower. If someone could just pull that up, if you see it, if it's worthwhile, screen share it.
What?
Look in the Skype chat.
It's on for the audience now.
Remember, I did this with my phone, so they don't line up perfectly. It's not, you know, you're not making a point.
So it's not a...
Yeah, okay.
That's nice.
Oh,
didn't they tell you have to line them up perfectly?
Milo, I've got it lined up with the top of the screen now, and the one at the back's lower.
Wait, hold on. Who's presenting?
I've got it up for the audience, because while you're faffing and saying, oh, I've just done it with my camera phone, you absolute fuckwit, you've got it wrong. Haven't you? You total idiot. So we've debunked you live on air. Milo is a retard.
What have you debunked?
We've got it on screen right now for the audience. We've got the back one lower than the front one.
By how much?
Who gives a crap? They don't line up, you stupid idiot.
It's not a level table, you dumbass.
Oh, right. So you got your excuses lined up, have you, dumbass? Yeah, we are absolutely humiliating you right now, Milo, because you're a typical globehead. My point was you don't manage to get level transits. Often the camera's pointing up, down, and in your model, only down. You don't get this 90 degrees to stuff. You find that perspective seems to take over if you're only a hair out. And what do you know? I was absolutely right. You'd need to angle your camera down, Milo, to get this to all line up, mate. You complete idiot.
Nathan, you drink piss.
That's your best comeback, is it? Another losing argument, so you go straight to ad hominem. Bye-bye, Milo. Bye-bye. See you later, loser. Bye-bye.
Wow.
Sore loser.
Wow.
Makes you wish we had those trap doors. You could just throw it and they fall.
Oh, that would be awesome.
What an idiot.
He spat his dummy out there,
It seems like Sly did the similar thing. This will never ever Oh, whoops. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
It's incredible. We...
Nigger.
Incredible. It was incredible. He told us he had this experiment set up. I gave him the conditions. It has to be perfectly lined up. I even told him like to the 10th of a millimeter. And then what he actually presented to us without him telling us was completely disaligned. So it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, he thinks he can do that with a drone. He's saying, yeah, fly out with a drone and look at the turbines perfectly 90 degrees. You can't even do it when you've got controlled situation with a bloody tripod, you idiot.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, he wants me to essentially try and take an image of these wind turbines that are perhaps 300 odd feet high at a distance of 16 miles, and he wants me to try and get that shot, but he can't even do it on a table right next to him.
Kudos, the plain truth.
That's like 5 feet long.
Well, I don't think the table's not level.
Hey, Anthony, congratulations on getting your video mirrored on Dorji Daka. That's gonna get to a bigger view, and hopefully that way they can reach Nathan and join the debates to see if some people stronger than the representatives are gonna show up.
But that's not gonna be very hard.
Jory's been following my work, and he said to me, if ever you get anything better at Isle of Man, from St. Bees than what you've already got, let me know. And obviously, I just let him know because it is better than what I've had before, and that's why he's put the comment. But I agree, it is my best work so far. It's 34 miles from the beach. There's like next to nothing in observer height, and it should be behind 700 feet curvature, 650, 700 feet of curvature. There should be a wall of water between us and the target, and I've got Slice Barkane pretending he can't see it. So it's like the only way that this could possibly be the case is if the Earth isn't a ball. But I just don't want people to ignore it. I want people to go and acknowledge that it's there because that land is there. We see it.
Can I just do a couple of shout outs? One to Sleeping Warrior. That's the guy who's just been speaking about his observation of the Isle of Man. If you haven't subscribed, I suggest you go over there right now and hit the subscribe button. So that's Sleeping Warrior. And also we've got Arwin, who's in the chat. He's well under subscribed. Would like to try and get him up to 1,000 by the end of the year. But his name is
lovely, but you're probably going to catch me up, you bastard. You do all the work, so it is well deserved for you.
Well, his name's Arwin. You can search for him, Arwin, and if you can't find him that way, search for Flat Earth. And yeah, definitely subscribe to him over there too.
You can search on Flat Earth Talks. My show is generally called Flat Earth Talks.
Probably search Flat Earth Wizard and they'll find you too.
Probably.
I think it's right. We don't really do shout outs here, do we? We don't really promote ourselves as such, do we? I think Nathan's done it the last week or so, but if you go back the past 6 months, it's very rare that we ever make mention to our channel names.
Yeah.
Yep. Widgeon.
No.
Origin.
No, it's just Arwin.
Hey guys, this is Chris. I have to go. Thanks for having me. I'll try and join more. Like I say, it's hard for me with work. Maybe on the weekends, if you guys do it on the weekends.
Yeah, we do it every day. So, hey,
yeah,
Chris,
every day.
Before you go, Chris, do you have Skype or anything?
Yeah, I have Skype, I guess. I mean, I don't use it a lot, but I have it.
It's a good way to keep into contact with our group, and it's a safer way to get links if you want to join the show.
Okay.
So consider sharing it.
How can I share it with you?
Type it into the Hangout chat. It's a blue box in the upper left corner. If you click it, then a chat opens, and you can type or you can copy paste it there.
Don't say it. I've taken the Hangout off screen, so if you type it, no one will see it. Just don't verbalize it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do that. Actually, I'll close out and I got to look for it. I don't know what my Skype name is anymore.
Right. Take your time.
Well, okay. Failing that, if you can't do that, just send Nathan a private message on his channel, and he'll add you to the group.
Indeed, we'll work it out. Try and get in touch with us on Skype, basically. But I know you've got to head off, so thank you very much indeed. It's been an absolute pleasure being introduced to you, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Come back again.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Chris. Nice meeting you.
See you later, Chris.
With maybe a couple of guests. I'm happy. My kids fell asleep ages ago, so I'm happy to run the show a little bit longer. But at the moment, we've got a troll constantly joining, so it would be quite handy if somebody could join just to get rid of this troll gap that we've got currently. So yeah, hopefully somebody will join and we can end the trolling. If not, I'll have to round this show out in the next couple of minutes. We shall see.
Everybody join.
Really cool. Really cool guy. Cool.
What's up, James?
Don't trip over your mic, dude.
Hello.
After all that, I think I had your page on. I thought you'd already done it, and then I put the page back up. So I think your Skype address has just gone out. I'm really, really sorry. So my bad. Ah, God, trolls. Is it going to be the chance that I get to keep the show rolling a little bit longer, and we're just getting a troll right at the end? See if someone else joins. Hopefully someone else will join in the gap. Troll attack! Maybe it is this is the moment, maybe. How long have we been running? Let's have a little look. An hour and a half. I'll give it another 60 seconds. Hopefully a member of the audience will join to stop the trolling. If not, I'll be rounding out the show with a little bit of dead air. Yeah, please share the show, people. This is the best bit of it, of course. The troll attack towards the end after a damn good conversation. Some excellent examples from Ranty and Arwin and Sleeping Warrior. This is what we get. 180 odd people watching. Just me jabbering while the trolls enter and leave over and over again. Hey ho. Frank, what's he called? Frank Bello. Yeah, that is going to be it, I think. I think I've given it enough time. I've got to click all my buttons now while there's dead air and no one talking. So with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully for sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you liked the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!